Hello everyone, in this video we will be taking a look at a scenario where Persindia joins the Great Mediterranean War as well as the Dutch Empire and the events after the war. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing as we are on the road to 500 subs, and also thank you to Swiss for making the thumbnail. Anyways, let's get into it. So firstly we have to look on how we can get Persindia to join the war on the side of Rome. This could be done by many ways, such as wanting to beat their Mesopotamian rival, or interests of colonialism in Egypt, or a potential rivalry created between them and the Dutch. And you may be wondering, how could a rivalry emerge between the two? This could happen by colonization of the North American continent, if Persindia colonizes Indonesia sooner, or if the invasion of Catalonia and them joining the triangles is a bit later. We could see Persindian ships landing on the west coast of California. This can lead to Persindia setting up a colony here in California. With them being one of the richest and resource-filled countries in the world, we can see them exploring more of the vast North American continent, nicknaming their first city New Persia. However, for this to work we also need the Dutch to invest more into their colonization of North America. With this we have them take all of Florida and more into mainland America. So with both these empires properly established in America, we see more exploration of this continent, of the expansion of their colonies. However, we cannot delay the inevitable too much, as here Rome invades Catalonia and they join the Triangle Alliance. With the capitulation of Catalonia, Roman troops now march down into Andalusia. They focus mainly on coastal areas, granting them full naval dominance of the northwestern Mediterranean. Speaking of the naval frontlines, we can see that the Romans are having a lot of success as they continue to push back the Carthaginian navy, almost reaching the coast of Africa. Back on the Iberian front, the Romans will continue their advancement against Andalusia. They are very successful despite the arriving Carthaginian troops. If you couldn't already tell, not much is really gonna change with the war as of now. The war will mainly play out the same in the beginning phases, so we can skip ahead a bit later and straight to where the Diamond Alliance gets involved. Additionally, however, unlike the usual timeline, both Persindia and the Dutch keep colonizing. I know this may seem a little unrealistic, but it has to happen for the Lime team to get involved. With this we can look into Anatolia, where the Red team will quickly begin an invasion of this Turkish country. Their army is no match and this is why they fully fall. However, not all is good for Mesopotamia, as these two Arabian countries will join the Star Alliance and begin invading the Red team, pushing Persindia closer to joining this war. To make things even better for the Star Alliance, this Sudanese country will join their alliance and divert the Egyptian forces away from the main fronts. The Diamonds will have some success though, as in the Balkans, Mesopotamia, and the Farmers' Union will push into the Bulgarian country. On top of this, the Farmers' Union will have some success against Rome. In Carthage, one of the Roman naval landings will start to get pushed back, however the other one will have more success as they push more into Tunisia and along the Libyan coast. In Iberia, with the recent success of the Star Alliance, Galicia will join the war on their side. Quickly they will begin an invasion of Andalusia with the Romans, causing them to completely collapse. A huge success for Rome and the Star Alliance. Now, while this war is going in favor of the Star, we all know what happens next. Of course, the Dutch country will join this war against the Star Alliance. With this they will quickly begin an invasion of Rome while they scramble to divert forces from their other fronts, especially the African front, causing them to be getting pushed out of Africa. However, it becomes very awkward in America when Persindian and Dutch explorers meet up. The Dutch think that those people were just American natives and they shot at the group, leaving few survivors. Eventually this news reaching the Persindian homeland and they are infuriated. This event pushes them over the edge and they officially join the Star Alliance. With the arrival of Persindian forces, the Red team will be pushed back up the Arabian Peninsula, suffering major losses as the front gets pushed back, even reaching up to Kuwait. Additionally, Persindian troops arrive in Sudan, where they continue to push back a politically unstable Egypt that is on the verge of collapsing, causing more disaster for the Triangle Alliance. In Europe, the Dutch team and the Farmers' Union will have some success against Rome, especially the Farmers' Union, who captures the majority of the Balkan areas, but the Dutch do struggle a little bit, mainly thanks to Galician forces. Somehow things will get even better for the Star team as the Full Circle Alliance joins the war against the Red team. Due to the Persindians joining the Stars, they are fully confident in the fact they can win the war and they start an invasion. In the Balkan front, the Romans will push back the Farmers' Union as Mesopotamian troops have all retreated back home to defend their country. However, this is a very costly push for the Romans, as it costs lots of lives and allows other fronts to move against them, such as other here in the Dutch front. They push deeper into Roman territory but are eventually stopped by Galician troops. The continued failure on the Middle Eastern and Sudanese front will lead to the beginning of the Egyptian civil war. This will be the final nail in the coffin for this country, as Sudan and the Arab country rush in to occupy as much territory as possible. On the Mesopotamian front, the power of the Circle Alliance and Persindia completely overwhelms the Red Team, as there is almost nothing they can do against the power of their neighbors. The Battle of the Mesopotamian capital will go down as the bloodiest battle of the medieval era, but at the end of the day the Star Alliance will win against the Red Team and they surrender. With the surrender of the Mesopotamian Empire, the Farmers' Union military loses all of its hope and morale, and with an increasing amount of Arabian and Roman troops they are unable to defend their occupation in Bulgaria and their own territory, as they see great losses. However, the Romans are unable to give adequate forces needed to hold off the Dutch Empire, as they have great success without the presence of Persindian or Arabian troops. However, when the troops of these foreign nations arrive, the front could be entirely different. Back to the Farmers' Union, we see the Star and Circle Alliance advance across the Bosporus Strait. The Farmers' Union military is completely outmatched and overwhelmed by the armies in which they are facing, and they agree to surrender. With the fall of the Farmers' Union, troops from all across the Star Alliance flood onto the Roman-Dutch front, in which they manage to smash the Dutch lines and almost fully liberate Rome. With the Dutch being held off, the Star Alliance will turn their attention over to Carthage. The Star Navy will quickly destroy any remnant of the Carthaginian one, and they make 3 landings, one in Morocco, one in southern Tunisia, and the third one in Algeria. These landings will have quick success as they push around Carthage, taking valuable land. Eventually the capital is encircled and under siege, and after the bloodiest battle so far in human history, Carthage falls and the nation surrenders. With Carthage out of the way, the Star Alliance can now fully focus on the Dutch, and quickly they will be overwhelmed by the European and Asian forces running through the Dutch lines. After the Dutch lose all this land, they agree to begin talks for peace. The Stars have officially won the war. For the first part of the peace treaty, we will be looking at the Iberian Peninsula. First up, the Galicians will be annexing all of the northern Spanish area and connecting up with their exclave. The Romans will be fully annexing Catalonia and taking a large portion of the Andalusian coast. They will also annex both sides of the Gibraltar Strait. Next up, we look to the Dutch Empire and what punishment they will be receiving. The Romans will annex some land from both of their borders, but they don't really go to extreme in this. Next up, we look over to the fate of the Farmers' Union, the first diamond member of this peace treaty. Firstly, Bulgaria will be taking a decently sized chunk of land, and Rome does some of the same, annexing a decent amount. The rest of the Farmers' Union is left alone. After this, we now move on to northern Africa, where we first look at Carthage. The Romans will practically fully annex all of Carthage but keep them alive in Tunisia. However, they are fully reliant on the Roman economy and are basically a Roman vassal state. Next up, we go to the Anatolian part of the Mesopotamia. Bulgaria will expand decently into this land, while this Turkish country will greatly expand into Anatolia, becoming the main Turkish country. In southern Arabia, Persindia will annex all of Qatar and the northern coastal areas, while the 2 Arabian states will take some land, especially the northern one, who expands greatly into the Arabian desert. The Persians will also be taking a decent amount of land, annexing a lot of territory across their border and getting close to the population center near the capital. Back in the Turkish area, a new pink country is released that came around after episode 17. The other Turkish country will also expand up to the Black Sea. This Caucasian country will be forced by the Star Alliance to annex a lot of the northern Mesopotamian land to further weaken the country. Next, we look over to Egypt, in which had already collapsed. In the peace deal, Sudan and Libya will be taking the majority of their country, while the leftover goes to a new civilian government. And now this is the map of our new post-Great Mediterranean Civil War: Asia and Europe, with Rome being the dominant European power and Persindia growing its influence even further. After the war, Rome and its allies will go around and taking over the weaker countries of Europe, such as the French country, which gets divided, and the 4 Swiss countries, which are all fully annexed by Rome. Moving forward in time, we can see how this war affects the colonization of North America. The Romans have set up a central colony on the east coast, while the Galicians have been much more successful, and Persindia has expanded down to Mexico. Skipping forward to when Africa is colonized, we can see the Romans getting way more land in this timeline, with them controlling so much of the Mediterranean and having so much influence they could definitely work their way into getting a lot of colonial possessions. When the time of World War I comes around, we can see the Roman alliance siding with that of Ukraine and having a critical alliance victory in the war. The peace treaty would look something like this. In the Middle East, the Red Team continues to shrink as they chose the wrong side during the war. Rome annexes all of Transjordan, while the Pink Country and the Dark Red one take a large amount of land. In Iberia, the Andalusian country joined the war with the Triangles and they got crushed, leading to them getting fully divided by Rome and Galicia. Rome could be seen taking a lot of French and German territory, making them the strongest country in the world by far due to the collapse of Persindia. This land would cause an economical boom for Rome but would also bring some instability. In Russia, the Ukrainians could get full dominance over the country. A large portion of Russia could already be Ukrainian, and some of the country is Arctic Iceland, so Ukraine could be able to do this. Anyway, that is going to be doing it for this video. I really hope you all enjoyed, and I apologize this video is a lot shorter than usual. Anyway, make sure to like and subscribe, and goodbye.